Meg isn't exactly one of the most competent people in Quahog. In fact, she's so irrelevant that sometimes her family completely forgets her existence. But how useless is she really? Is she the paragon of pointlessness her family makes her out to be? Or is she just a misunderstood kid? Today we're gonna find out. Here's why Meg is the most useless character in Family Guy. Let's kick things off with a classic. That time Meg apparently died, only for the Griffins to yeet her right out of their memory. Okay, so one fine day, every student at James Woods decides to skip school. And of course, nobody told Meg. Like, doesn't she have a brother that goes here? Even he decided she wasn't worth the effort. But the weird thing is, when she gets home, Meg can't find anybody. Not Chris, not Stewie, not her parents. What the heck is going on? Well, turns out that her family went to have some fun at the pier, and in a twist that should surprise exactly 0 people, they think Meg is already there. Except it's just a barrel with a wig and a beanie. Oh, and Peter gets mad skeptical when Meg claims she's not there with them.
Okay, Meg, if this is you, what's your birthday?
March 23rd.
I have no idea if that's correct.
Yep, that tracks. But sit tight, because this is about to get a whole lot weirder. Joe shows up in the middle of the night with a rather shocking revelation.
It pains me above the waist to tell you that Meg is dead.
Haha, Joe made a funny about being paralyzed. Wait, what? That bulky beverage bucket's not Meg? Jokes aside, Joe also hands over Meg's driver's license, so it really seems like the homeliest Griffin is sleeping with the fishes. Or is she? Truth is, Meg's been at the bowling alley this whole time. Bruce just got zonked off shoe spray and gave some other girl her ID. But either way, everyone still believes she's dead, and the only people that seem to care are the staff at the local Quiznos. And don't even get me started on the funeral. Like, they literally put a picture up of the barrel instead of, an actual photo of Meg. Chris actually lucks out with Meg being presumed dead because every hot girl at a school suddenly wants to cozy up to him. Meg is understandably shocked that so few people came to her funeral, and the way her family barely seems to be present ticks her off even more. I mean, Brian and Stewie are literally not physically present at the funeral. They just set up holograms while they hit the arcade. Meg is not having it, so she decides to move to a whole other city. Who needs a family like that anyway, right? And you know what? It actually works out pretty swell for Meg. She makes new friends, has a nice glass of wine on the roof, and just generally looks like she's having a good time. Meanwhile, Chris is having the time of his life at school. Seems like Meg's death was just what he needed to finally become one of the popular kids. Seriously, the kid makes having a dead sis his whole personality. Like he wears a t-shirt and everything, but it's not gonna last for long. Meg has a sudden change of heart, so she calls Chris and finally reveals that she's been alive this whole time. Why in the name of baby Jesus would she do such a thing, you ask?
I missed Mom. I missed you. I missed the whole family.
I think Meg has officially lost it, but maybe some time away was all she needed to realize how much she loves her family. Small problem though. Chris decides he's not letting his newfound popularity go so easily, so he traps Meg in a van and leaves her tied up in an abandoned warehouse. Like, imagine being so useless and despised that your own brother thinks it's better you disappear. But of course, this is far from the only time Meg proved to be a waste of space. Like, even her own mother outshines her around other high school kids. To be fair, this episode starts off with Lois genuinely trying to spend quality time with her daughter, but Meg just can't stop thinking about spring break. During the ride home, Lois actually does Meg a solid. He sees a sign for the big spring break blowout at Narragansett Beach and decides it's time to give Meg what she wants for a change. Fast forward to the morning and Meg wakes up surrounded by drunk spring breakers, although she definitely feels like the circumstances could be better.
Hey look, Meg made it, you guys.
Yeah, and she brought her mommy.
Yikes. That's definitely not ideal. But hey, at least she's gonna have that spring break experience she so desperately wanted. That's gotta count for something, right? Unfortunately, Lois gets a little too wild. So much so that she forgets this whole trip was supposed to be about Meg. Talk about having 0 relevance. And to make things worse, she's literally too wasted to even get why Meg's upset.
I've been waiting out here for hours.
Seriously, all Lois can think to say is that Meg needs to loosen up. apparently she's being a real buzzkill by, wanting to act her age. And sure, Lois is having a midlife crisis, but when's she ever not having one? I guess all Lois wants is for Meg to learn how to live a little. These are the best years of her life, after all, or at least that's what a bored suburban housewife like Lois probably thinks. Now, by some miracle, this actually starts to work. When Lois pulls Meg on stage during a concert, the crowd actually seems to be into her, but we all know this can't last for long, right? Sure enough, Meg gets overexcited and just throws her top off. The crowd gasps, which is the sort of reaction we usually see whenever Meg shows an inch of her body, and things just get worse from there. The cops show up and launch canisters of tear gas into the crowd, and just like that, spring break is over, all cause Meg couldn't keep her dang shirt on. Next thing you know, Lois and Meg are in the back of a cop car, and Meg's whining about how she's about to have a permanent stain on her record. Luckily, Lois's quick thinking gets them out of that mess. I mean, sure, it's technically evading arrest, which is probably a crime in itself, but that's spring break for you, baby. Anyway, they finally manage to get on their way home, and Lois apologizes for making the whole thing about herself. But you know who contributed absolutely nothing in this episode? Meg. Seriously, all she did was whine, and the one time she got the attention she'd wanted all along, she blew it. Not just for herself, but for a whole crowd of people. But even that might be one of the more respectable things that Meg's gotten involved in. Don't believe me? Get a load of this. Meg's own father nearly sold her to pay off the most absurd debt of all time. This episode starts off with an absolute zinger from Stewie.
You know, Meg, if you kill yourself now, you'll probably get a full page in the yearbook.
What I tell you, zing! Things are already looking up, but the anti-Meggery has only just begun. Meg's night gets even worse when Neil comes over to ask her out for like the billionth time. She slams the door in his face, but this won't be the last she sees of the orthodontically challenged Ginger. You see, Peter has to take a trip to the drugstore for, let's just call them date night supplies. Except he forgets one of the most crucial aspects of consumer culture, actually having money. In other words, Peter forgot his wallet at home, but good old Mort's ready to do him a solid. He lets Peter open up a tab, which Peter seems to think gives him a free pass to take whatever he wants. Can someone tell him he'll have to pay for all that stuff later? Among his many prized finds from Mort's drugstore are a few bottles of Ipecac. And in case you don't know what it does, it makes this happen.
Oh God, why didn't anybody tell me?
Oh my God, my insides are on fire!
Lovely. Now the thing about tabs, the thing that Peter forgot so conveniently, is that sooner or later you have to pay them off. And guess what? Peter's tab for the month came up to a whopping $34,000. Where the heck is he gonna get that kind of money? Wait, what does Peter do for a living again? Doesn't matter, because he's come up with the perfect solution to take care of this problem. So I guess Mort gets to have Meg after all. I mean, this is about as non-consensual as it gets, and Peter's probably breaking all sorts of laws, but that's not even the worst of it. It turns out that Meg rejected Neil one too many times, and he went out and bagged himself a baddie named Cecilia. I guess Meg can't even get a guy like Neil. Imagine the embarrassment. Instead of being relieved, like I assumed she would be, Meg actually gets jealous of this girl. So what does she try to do next? She tries asking some other guy out, but he literally shoots himself in the stomach just to get out of it. The best she can do is Jake, a kid with an upside down face, because that's what you get when you have zero options. Does this bother Neil or Cecilia? Not at all. In fact, they seem happy that Meg's found someone, even though the whole point is to make Neil want her again. Things get to the point where Meg actually starts begging Neil to let her be his girlfriend. Oh, the depths she'll sink to just to get some validation. She even goes so far as to sign the contract that basically makes Neil her owner, and then gives him a big old smooch on the lips. Guess the bar's in hell, but even that might be too good for Meg. If you've enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'd like this one too.